Hello and welcome. My name is Svetlana Stone. You're watching and listening Artist Voices, where we believe it's essential for artist voices to be heard. And we are pleased to have Sara and Sadam here at Public Media Network, first year musicians from Western Michigan University School of Music, to learn about what does it take to be a musician in the 21st century. Thank you for watching us. And hello, Sadam and Sara. We are so happy to see you here. And if you can introduce yourself and let us know where you're from and a little bit about yourself and how you get to Kalamazoo.
Hi, I am Sara Araujo. I'm from Mexico City. I am a graduate student. I got here because Sadam started studying with Professor Laurie Sims, and I was also looking for teachers to do my graduate studies. So he told me about her, and I started talking to her, and I came to meet her, and well, everything worked out.
Sadam?
Hi, my name is Sadam Rabadan, and I'm from Mexico City too. And well, before I was here, I was doing my master's degree in China, but because of all the COVID situation, I had to go back to my country. And then thanks to a friend that was with me in China, he invited me to come to study with Professor Laurie Sims. And I thought it was a very good option to continue my studies here in the US. Here I am, trying to do the best I can.
We are so glad that you are here. And what major are you working?
We're working on piano performance major.
Piano performance. And you both from Mexico, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you both have, Laurie Simpson is your professor.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's wonderful. So how do you like, this is your first year. I know Sadam came last year and Sara just this year in January, correct?
Yeah.
And how was your experience here in Kalamazoo and at Western?
Well, for me, I got here in the middle of the winter, so that was pretty interesting. I had never seen snow, so that was really nice for me. It was hard to adapt a little bit, I think, to the cold and to, like, I don't know, moving in the snow and everything. But Professor Laurie Sims and the whole piano department and the music department, they have been very welcoming. I think the piano studio is a very, like a small international community, and all of my classmates have been very welcoming. It's I like it. It's a nice community. They make you feel welcome. They help you in whatever they can. So I think that has made the transition easy, and it has also been nice to find a lot of Latin American friends within that piano studio. So that has helped a lot.
And Sadam, what about you?
Well, the experience was a little bit shocking at the beginning because we come from a very big city, and I was living in a very big city in China too. So when I came here, this is a small city, and I felt a little bit lonely. But I came with a friend, and suddenly we start knowing people from the U.S. and from other countries like China, Latin America, U.S. people, and everyone has been very welcome. Everyone has been very, how to say, kind with us. I think that would be the word, kind with us. And I like a lot that here you can make a lot of plans, when to study, when to practice. Actually, I think it's a very good place to dedicate to music because you can plan your schedule and practice when you need to practice. I think you have a lot of accommodations, I would say, like facilities. All the infrastructure is very good. So it's very good if you want to really dedicate yourself to the music. This is the right place.
And you mentioned that you came from back city and you thought Kalamazoo is a small place, but
it's a smaller place, but
Yeah.
that's the magic. That's the magic because here maybe you can get from point A to point B in 5 or 10 minutes, and you don't spend like an hour or an hour and a half just driving or in the bus. I don't know. So it's a little bit difficult without a car, but you can make it.
what you thought about before coming to Kalamazoo, and what surprised you that you never thought it's gonna happen, or you learned something in a small city like Kalamazoo?
Well, that thing that Saddam says, you really know it until you leave it. Back in Mexico City, it's hard. It's hard to do things. There is a lot to do. There are a lot of distractions, but there is also a lot of traffic. It takes a lot to move from one point to another. Our music school is quite crowded, so it was hard to practice. We Mexicans have like a very united family life, so it's also kind of hard to balance your family life with your professional life. So getting here, it was, well, for me it was amazing to know how much you could do in one day because you really just have to study. You can just walk from one place to another. I think the most amazing thing for me was that the piano practice rooms were open the whole day. So you could be there from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. just practicing, and you could still have time to do other things, to maybe get to know town a little bit or go out to eat or things like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the days here are a little bit long.
Yeah.
You have time to do a lot of stuff, and that's very good for a musician, I think, because like getting to practice and eating and I don't know, hanging out with friends, all those are things that you need. So in a very big city like Mexico City or another cities around the world, it can be very hard. You have to sacrifice a lot. And here you just make a schedule and then it can work. So I like that about here.
How many years you dedicated yourself to music, to piano, and how was that started? How you become a musician, and why piano?
Well, like the truth is that I didn't like going to school when I was in middle school. So I just asked myself, what I need to do something like for living, and what could I do all day without getting bored. So I used to play piano, not a lot, but a little bit, and I said like maybe I could play piano for a living. I didn't know much about how the world of music worked. So when I was like probably 13 or 14, I had been taking some piano lessons in the past, but nothing really formal. So I decided that I was gonna dedicate myself to the piano. And then I did my exam for the conservatory in Mexico. And I got in and I just started to know how the music world works and practice and practice and more practice. So that's it. Like I just decided because I didn't imagine myself doing anything else. So everything else was boring for me. So I there's not much. Maybe it's not a very inspirational story, but it's the truth.
And how's your family? Were they approve your decision?
No, not really. But I was very stubborn. So they at the end they said like, okay, if you want to try it, you can always regret. So I'm here and I haven't, but
And you're
I
happy.
had that option in that moment. So at the end they supported me.
That's important. Sarah, how you become a musician and how many years you already in that field?
When I was like 7 years old, my mom was taking organ lessons. She had like a little electronic organ. So she was taking those lessons and I started feeling curiosity. So she taught me how to read like basic notation, a little bit about rhythms. And with that, I started playing a little piece from uh, uh, Anna Magdalena's Bach book. And from there, well, my parents kind of saw that I was interested in it and that I could spend a lot of time there. So they started looking for private lessons for me and music academies and everything. The same, nothing like really, really serious. And then when I was in junior high school, kind of like the same. I didn't like picture myself doing anything else. I was kind of already decided on studying music, but I was a little bit afraid of telling my parents. So I went to high school without saying anything to them still about my decision. And I really told them until my last semester at high school when it was like kind of time to decide what to do with college and that stuff. And they were a little bit shocked and a little bit scared because they're not musicians, so they didn't know much about this world, but they were very, very, very supportive. They would have wanted me to tell them earlier, maybe, because it was kind of hectic with deadlines and everything and looking for a teacher to get ready to go to the conservatory, but it finally worked out. But it was really thanks to them that it worked out because I waited a long time to like speak up. Yep, but that's the same thing. I made the audition for the conservatory and well, now here I am, a long time after.
What do you experience when you play music?
Well, many things. It depends on how well you prepared for the performance. You can experience fear if you are not very well prepared, but many times, like you can experience nervousness and excitement. But I think in the very moment when you are actually playing, it's a very indescribable feeling. It's just something that you enjoy most of the time. Even when something bad can happen, you want to do it again. And it's weird because many times it doesn't happen during the practice session. It's only when you are there in the stage that you can kind of express yourself in a different way, in a more, I'd say, authentic way. So it's a lot of mixed feelings because you're also scared. Sometimes, not always, but it depends. So far, I like it.
The same. It's a lot of mixed feelings. I'm a pretty nervous person, so at first I'm always very, very scared. I actually enjoy more playing with others, like chamber music. I discovered that that's the time where I enjoy the most playing music. I like that feeling of like silent communication with other musicians. But yes, every time that when you're well prepared, it's really a pretty joyful experience with yourself. And sometimes I don't know, things happen, mistakes happen and everything, but like if you get to like really focus and listen to yourself, um, it's something that you want to do over and over again. And the reaction of the public is always something that we appreciate a lot, and that makes us also want to do it again and to do it better.
Welcome back for those of you who just tuned in. We are here at Public Media Network with Sadam and Sara, two classical musicians, to learn about what does it take to be a musician in the 21st century. Thank you for watching us. And thank you again for joining us tonight. Do you agree with this expression that be a musician, it's just about music and it's enough just to know your instrument and play?
Well, no.
And can you explain why?
Yeah, I think we've found out about that through our career. It takes building a lot of skills. Maybe you do have enough with your instrument, but you also need to get different skills than just like the classical performing thing. It helps a lot to train your ear, to know history. For us pianists, we've learned that improvising should be one of the first things we learn, playing by ear. All of these things that maybe classical musicians don't do often, but it turns out that helps preparing repertoire faster, learning it faster, feeling less scared. And well, the more culture you have, also the more material you have to put into your music. So I think it's a pretty, you can't just stay in the practice room, and you can't just like believe that the more that you practice one single piece, that will make it better. There's a lot of things that you have to take from the whole musical aspect.
Well, I think music is also a consequence of something, like maybe the time or maybe the experiences that a composer had or musicians have had during their lives, and that's the way they have, or the way they had to express themselves, because they were struggling or enjoying or whatever with many things in their time, right? So that's maybe just the consequence of their lives. So in order to sometimes really or truly understand the music or to speak the language, you have to understand the context many times. And it's just as a language. You have to learn the language, and you have to get involved in all the theory and history and all the traditions and mistakes that people have made or done in the past, everything. So I think in order to be a good musician, you have to have a well-rounded education, and then just pick an instrument and express yourself, if that's the way that you need to do it. So I think, music is not enough. It's more about like a tool to express what you need or what you want.
And speak about expression, what do you try to tell people through your music when you perform?
Well, I think that sometimes, or most of the time, just with the composer's idea, we have a lot to express. Obviously, there's always a personal thing that we pour in there, but I don't think that we can easily define it as one particular feeling or one particular mood, because maybe I'm expressing it in some way, and the audience gets it in a totally different and contrasting way. It depends a lot on their contrast. But I think it's just expressing beautiful sound and beautiful ideas that definitely have a link with emotion and everything. I think but it's just that, like, given the musical material in the best quality possible, so each person that listens to it can pour a little bit of themselves into it, and so then they can make what they want out of it. I think that's kind of the idea.
Did you mention about like other people learning music, like students or?
What are you trying to express through your? We talk about express, and what you're trying to tell through your music.
Oh,
Okay, when you like perform.
that's not an easy question, to be honest. It's, I think the better way to say it would be how you understand that music. Sometimes you understand it very differently than other people, and sometimes it is beautiful, but not always. Like sometimes you express also another kind of feelings through the music, even ugliness or even being scared or whatever, emotional states, right? Or emotional stages of a person or of a character. It depends the kind of music the kind of music you are playing. But sometimes it's about us, and sometimes it is not. It's just like in another job. Sometimes you can put a lot of yourself in that, and other times you have to play something, and you try to be as professional as you can and just do it the best way you can, because just as writers or any other artists, there are some days where you don't feel like to do it, you know. So it depends, but many times I would say like you express what you understand, or what you get from that music or that piece of art or that story. I don't know, but most of the time is that.
And you are a classical pianist, and what do you think the biggest challenges or challenge that the musicians are facing today, and what would help to overcome those challenges?
Well, at least from my personal context, it has been learning how to practice. When we become classical pianists, we kind of already have like the drive to practice. So maybe that motivation or that, how to say, perseverance is not the problem, but maybe just how to do it well, and also looking for someone that can teach you, that can form you as a musician. So, for example, back in Mexico, I struggled a lot. I kind of didn't get what I needed from my piano teachers in the conservatory. So I had to look outside. I used to go to 2 different states in the country with 2 different teachers. One was Marta Garcia Renart, and the other one is Alexander Pashkov. And with them, I felt that I was getting what I needed. Marta taught me how to listen to myself and to always like be conscious of what you're doing. And Alex taught me and is still teaching me how to feel comfortable at the piano. So I think that what other classical musicians and students need to do is not to stay within the four walls of the school and just be curious and investigate and read and don't settle if one professor maybe is not giving you what you need. Look somewhere else and also be aware of what is your responsibility also to fulfill like every aspect of your musical education and also the work the how do you say it, like the working environment. Maybe that's hard. It's hard, I think, to find job opportunities, but that doesn't mean there aren't. You just like need to be more versatile also. Like, don't stay within the idea of just going a certain way, because as a musician, like, life can take you in many different paths. So I think, like, to sum that up, it's like being versatile is what we need, and having an open mind.
And be brave, go outside the box, like you
Yeah,
said.
be brave to go outside the box. You don't have to like just keep doing what everyone else is doing if it is not working for you.
So keep trying.
Yeah.
Well, I think as a challenge for musicians, yeah, that's true. But also there is another challenge actually for music in general, right?
Yeah.
Or just classical music or any music. Of course, I think a lot of people, before picking music as their career, most of us have thought like, but what am I going to, how am I going to make money, right? So, well, I think that's mistake number one, because I think there's always gonna be a way to make money. It doesn't matter. That's another thing. It's something different. It's not about music. Making money sometimes it has to do with music, but it's not about music. You know, I don't know if you what I'm saying, but it's something that you are passionate about. So if you are really passionate about that, you will just not be able to deny yourself that pleasure or that activity or that hobby or that profession. It depends on how much you love or how much you are interested in that. And also, well, classical music is not always available for everyone, and it has to do with education. Because, let's say, pop music, I like pop music, and as a musician, you should be able to play not only classical music, any kind of music, because that means that you are a well-rounded musician. Just as you speak your language, you can speak formal language, and you can speak like not formal language with your friends or whatever. Just like that in music. And probably the classical music is not that is not very well known, because it requires a little bit more effort to appreciate it. But it's not something that is necessarily hard. It's just something that like requires you to know about the context, what was happening during that time, how was life and how was the world during that time, what were the elements that we had available, and what was the situation, the social situation in general in that moment of the history. Like, and that's it. I think most of the time people don't listen to classical music, if we are talking about just classical music, because they don't know enough about that time. That's it. That's what I think. But once you start explaining them, and once they start looking at the history, everyone likes history, even the people that say that they don't like history. Everyone likes movies, and history is just like a story. So you just go and look at that period of time, and you start understanding everything. And then the music of that time makes sense. And you start enjoying it. And you start understanding the language. even if you are not a musician. So I think it's just the challenge is just make sure that everyone knows more about that time, about the context where classical music occurs, and they will start being more interested. And of course, also as a musician, a lot of myths around the world, around the traditions, around everything. You have to be as objective as you can to just be honest with yourself and see what is working for you and what is not. That's it. It comes from honesty principle.
So, what would be a piece of advice you would give to the young musicians or maybe parents? Something that help them to understand more music or become a great musician?
Parents being involved in the education of the
For the young generation and maybe the parents who wish to involve their children to music, what they need to know about, before even maybe from your own experience, what you experience, what is would be a great piece of advice to give both.
I think more than the children itself or like the talent itself, I think the parents are the most important part of the education, the musical education. At least maybe all the education, but at least the musical education, the parents are the most important part of education, because they can get informed and they can look for teachers and they can make their kids listen to classical or jazz or pop music. A lot of things are on them. So parents are, I think, probably the most important part of a young musician education, more than the teacher.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe just getting rid of that. It is true that there's a kind of prejudice surrounding classical music. Some people feel like it's something like they can't grasp into, that there's something I don't know, regarding etiquette and some higher cultural level that maybe they can't reach, and why would their little child be able to reach to it? So it's just not to they really need to stop how do you say underrating them, undervaluing them. They can do it. They have even more ability than we do. So if they take their young child that is interested in music, just let them and have faith that they don't need to be I don't know how to say it, like pampered. They can do more than you think they can. So just let them and be supportive into, listen to music, get to like it, get to find what you like, what your child likes, and be involved in their music lessons. Don't see it. It's hard to be there the whole time, but especially when they're really young, it's really great if parents can be there in the lesson and start learning with them, so they can start speaking that musical language among themselves, because if not, it's going to be something that they won't ever be able to understand. And it's easier for children to keep doing it if their parents are also involved in it. So yes, I think that would be my advice for parents and for young students, to look what works for them, and don't just stay within the limits of what's tradition or what's the usual way. There's always different ways, and the important thing is that it's for them to find a way to feel comfortable in their instrument and to feel that they are progressing and that they are feeling that they are doing everything they're being told to and they're still not progressing, just don't believe that maybe I need an extra hour of practice. It's something else. There's always something different to change. That would be it.
Thank you. And how our audience can find information about you? Maybe you have a website or Instagram, something, or...
Yeah, we both are on Instagram.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my Instagram is Sadam RT. That's it. It's easy to find.
I am I'm in Instagram as Sauri AG. It's SAURIAG. Yeah, that's our social media. And we're here in Kalamazoo, so we'll hopefully be performing a lot.
Do you have scheduled recital for next semester or next year?
We were talking with other Latin American students about organizing a concert of Latin American music. So hopefully we'll be able to do that in the summer. I don't know if you have...
maybe in the fall we will have 1 or 2 recitals.
That's great. Yeah, you mentioned that there's a lot of people from Latin American countries. It would be great to have this concert here in Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this concludes this episode of Artist Voices. And we are so thankful to Sadam and Sara for being here with us and share their stories about their journey in music. And thank you for watching us, and see you next time.